Hey everybody, it's John, Old Man Outdoors, and welcome to the video. That thumbnail that you clicked on just then was not clickbait. In fact, I guarantee you before this video is over, I'm going to show you two ways, guaranteed, bona fide, that you will catch more fish if you'll just follow both of these ways. Now to do this, I'm going to have to go back a few years to my childhood. I had a childhood friend by the name of Clifton Whitehead. Now, I grew up, there was a pond, we called it a pond, but actually it was about 300 or 400 acres behind my house. It was private, a fellow owned it, but he let people fish in it. Clifton and I spent a lot of time on that pond. We both used bobbers and cane poles and so forth, and one day Clifton came up with a rod and reel. It was the first rod and reel I'd ever seen in my life. I'd seen them in pictures, but I'd never seen one up close. It wasn't much of a rod and reel by today's standards. If you can just think really of a fiberglass stick, that was about all that rod and reel was. Now, the thing Clifton had, I don't know how he got the rod and reel, but I do remember he had only two baits, and the two baits he had was identical. It was some kind of a balsa wood crawfish looking thing. And they were both red, had some kind of black marks on them, and that's all Clifton had. I said one day I'd said something to him about that, and he said that he was going to learn how to fish that thing like a crawfish. He said, you know, a crawfish don't know the barometric pressure. Crawfish don't change color based on what the clarity of the water is. Crawfish don't really care too much about how the temperature changes. They've got to eat at any time. So he learned how to use those two baits, and he didn't buy another one until he had that thing down. I'm going to tell you now, Clifton could make that crawfish looking bait look exactly like a crawfish swimming in the water. I mean, he could make that thing swim backwards. He could make it swim forwards. I'm hung up. Let me get out of this mess. Okay, I got out of that tree limb. Wasn't paying attention where I was throwing. Anyway, back to my story about Clifton. Clifton could make that thing look like a crawfish, act like a crawfish, swim like a crawfish. It could do anything a crawfish could do. And on top of that, because he only fished that one bait, he had two of them exactly alike, but he only fished one obviously at a time. Clifton could throw that thing between tree limbs, over tree limbs, under tree limbs. In fact, I would suggest that Clifton could probably put that crawfish looking outfit in a coffee cup 50 feet away. That's how good he got to be. Now, because he got that good, because he learned how to use that bait to imitate the crawfish 100%, Clifton caught boatloads of fish. I mean boatloads of fish just by simply doing that. So the moral of that story is that I learn the fish bait you got. Don't go off to Walmart, buy everything on the pegboard. You know, use what you got, learn how to use it, and use it to the best of your ability. And that's reason number one, you'll catch more fish. Number two reason you'll catch more fish, guaranteed, bona fide way to catch fish. I'll go back to my childhood days again, to my granddaddy. My granddaddy was a mentor of mine when it came to hunting and fishing. Now my dad did hunt, we did fish a little bit together, and we hunted a little bit together, but my daddy was nothing like granddaddy was. Granddaddy lived on the lake and he lived in the woods. He, you know, this is back when I was a teenager. That's a long time ago, and Granddad had been dead for a long time. But he was a mule trader. That was what he did. He carried the rural mail route. And he was a mule trader. He was also, when he wasn't doing those two, he was at the lake. Granddad and I, we'd go off to the lake, and here's what we would do. We'd go out early in the morning, we'd fish to dinner time, then we'd take a nap and then go out and fish a little bit more for supper time. Wake up the next morning like we hadn't been fishing in 10 years, and we'd go out and fish all day again. Well, here's what Granddaddy taught me. He says when you go out, now this is back in the cane pole days and bobber days, you go out and we go out to the lake, be cypress trees all the way around the bank. Granddaddy would take his bobber, put it about 6 inches away from the tree. Drop that bobber down. Now we had various dates. We had to figure out kind of what the depth was on it. He'd drop that bobber down beside that tree, and he'd go about 200 degrees around that tree. When he got around to this side of the tree, he'd move out about 6 inches, go all the way around that tree again. When he got off that tree, two things were to be sure. If there was a fish down there, that fish was not going to bite today. And if there was a fish biting, we had caught it. And then after we'd fished for sure around that tree, we went to the next tree. We didn't skip a tree. We didn't crank up the motor and go anywhere. In fact, at that time, you were in tall cotton if you had a 14-foot flat bottom boat with a 9.9 Johnson or Evinrude. That was the fishing boat of the day, and that's what Granddaddy had. Well, We did not cover more than about 100 foot up and down that bank in the morning. Maybe we do another 100 foot in the afternoon. And as I said, you do that, you don't miss a spot. You fish every inch around every tree. You'll catch fish and you'll catch more fish. So there's two ways right there. I told you it wasn't going to be clickbait. Those are two ways that you will guarantee that you're going to catch yourself more fish. Take those, learn your fish bait, fish before to make sure you got all the fish before you leave. I done caught me a leaf right here, so I need to get back fishing and get back so I can finish out this tree right here. Hey, y'all be careful. Enjoy yourself, get out and enjoy God's great outdoors. Until we meet again, this is John, Old Man Outdoors. We'll catch you on the next video.